Hello, students. Hello. This is period 3 news. I told you the news is like an industry report, because you are now in the surfboard industry. This is the industry report about the, how the market is expected to be, or about the outlook of the market for the next 6 months. So for you to make better decisions, you have to pay attention to the news. Okay, you guys, when you start planning, you forget about the news. But I'm telling you, all you need to plan is your news. It's your report. Sometimes market studies is always useful because you will always get information from there. And you have to understand the outlook of the market if you want to do a better planning. Okay. This is the news for period 3. What are they talking about here? They are talking about the European summer and some terrorist attacks. Okay, because of these two, we expect summer to be hot and people to enjoy a lot of surfing probably, but because of these terrorist attacks here, this external factor or macro factor is affecting the demand of surfboards on the island. So people just heard of terrorist attacks, and there's 10% of customers who came to this to the island previous period, they are not coming back. Okay, which means you expect a reduction in your sales by 10%. So which means whatever you expected to sell, which is your potential sales in your report, I have made some comments there. If you check your reports, there are some yellow comment icon there. You just click there. Then I've explained each figure where I have indicated with that comment. Okay, so follow those comments. Those are your critical information you need to make decisions. Yeah. So because of this 10% decline, so we expect whatever we anticipated to sell previously to go down by 10%. So what you have to do now is to go to your report, look at your potential sales. Potential sales is a nickname for demand for previous period. So I said always you use your demand for previous period to forecast your demand for the next 6 months. And don't forget, I'm saying demand is another word for potential sales. Okay. So you take your potential sales from your report, and you get 10% of that figure, and you subtract it from the potential sales. In other words, potential minus 10%. Okay. There's a discussion in the industry as to whether targeted advertising might not curb this trend a little. So that just means, even if you, because people are scared of these terrorist rumors, attacks, and what's on, even if you market more this time, it doesn't really benefit you a lot. Okay, this is the time probably where you have to actually cut on your uh, awareness budget. Okay, you must cut on your awareness budget. Remember, in the initial, according to the market study, um, you are required to invest anything between 5 to 10%. Don't go below 5. It's going to be a disaster for your demand as well. Anything between 5 to 10% is fine. But you guys, you bring fire to yourselves because you start creating this war of I want to be at the top. Okay, in business, you don't have to be the highest quality to sell. You don't have to be the highest known to sell. You just profit is about controlling your expenses, and just make sure you sell. Okay, if you can control your expenses and you are able to sell, obviously you will see profits coming. But if you just want to continue investing more money R&D, more money research, more money awareness, at the end of the day you make money but you spend it. Okay, if you make 1 million and you spend 999.99, you're only left with 1 euro, or with $1 Namibian dollar. So which means as much as you want to sell more to make more money, try not to spend a lot. Okay, that's the recipe of winning. Um, if you check in the report, I mean, in the results, you can see there's one company that invested 8,000 in R&D, the least, but they still sold and got really good planning quality. Okay, and obviously, new regulations, environmental regulations, affect treatment of your production waste disposal. This means that your administration costs go up to 2% of sales. Okay, it did not go up by 2%, but it's going up to 2%, which means usually I think is under investments where you have extraordinary expenses and extraordinary income. There's an administration costs there, which is a fixed amount in the white and the 1% in the yellow field of turnover. So you have to adjust that 1% to 2%. Otherwise, if you don't adjust, my software will still charge you at 2% administration costs. After receiving pressure from his parents, one of your production workers decides to return to Germany to study business management. Okay, this means that you lose one production worker. Okay, you see this one here, you have lost one production worker. You did not fire this guy. No, he left. In human resources terms, we call that employee turnover. Somebody just decides doesn't want to work for you, they decide to resign and go. In this case, you don't pay firing cost or layoff costs for this kind of situations, because you did not fire the person, just left. So what you have to pay attention to is that you might need to replace this somebody, because in most cases when students hear that somebody was, when they hear that somebody was left the company, they think, okay, left the company, we don't need them anymore. I like to give an advantage of maybe you are a house owner and you have two people working for you there. One is to take care of the baby, the other one is to clean the house. So if the person to clean the house leaves, it doesn't now mean you don't need somebody else to replace the person. Okay, unless the capacity of the other person who is staying, it's enough to take care of everything that has to be done, which means now, unless if the other person can also come and take care of the baby and do the washing and so on. But if the capacity of the other person cannot do all the work, it means you will have to replace the person that left. In the low season, hiring costs for new employees fall to 1,000. This is good news for you, because you are likely to replace this person, and that means bringing in someone new. And previous period hiring cost was 3,000, which means now it's only 1,000. You could save 2,000 if you are going to hire a new employee. At a tourism conference, you meet a man who runs a large surfing school on the neighboring island. He's interested in buying up to 20% of your surfboards. Not 20%, but to buy 20 surfboards from your company at 308. Okay. Usually, from period 1 and 2, we just had one distribution channel, which means we were only selling through our shop. So now here, this is another distribution channel for us to increase our sales. Okay, so this is an opportunity for us to sell 20% more to the wholesaler. Okay, which means because somebody is buying 20, on a normal cases, in our shop, one customer only buys 1 unit. Okay, but now because this person wants to buy 20 at this price, this we will call this person a wholesaler, which means at this moment there's a wholesaler in the market willing to buy 20 units from your company. I'm not saying from your shop, I'm saying buying from your company. Okay, there's a reason why I'm using buying from your company, not from your shop. Okay, because the wholesaler is not going to buy from your shop. If you decide to supply for the wholesaler, you have to just produce extra 20 for the wholesaler, which means after you determine your retail shop price, okay, by reducing your potential sales by 10%, that gives you what you expect to sell in your shop. So the wholesaler is not going to buy from what you expect to sell in your shop. No, he's going to, you are just going to produce extra straight for the wholesale, which means at the amount produced in current period under market section, you have to make sure that you produce enough for the shop and for the wholesaler. Okay, if your shop demand is maybe 150, for example, and you don't have anything in storage, you don't have anything from previous period, you sold everything, it means then when you are coming to produce, you have to produce 150 for the shop plus 20 for the wholesaler. So which means in total you will have to produce 170 units. Okay. So usually it's some students are worried to say, now if I sell to this guy, he's going to set up his shop there and start to compete with me because he's buying at a low price. Okay, that's not the case. So this wholesaler is not selling his surfboards in Santa. No, this wholesaler is selling his surfboards somewhere at some other islands. He's not going to compete with you. No, at least directly. Okay, no. So you will still have your four competitors, but the wholesaler is not going to be a fifth competitor. No, he's going to sell their surfboards somewhere. And the reason why the wholesaler is offering cheap is because the wholesaler is willing to buy your surfboard at a point where you have only invested in the production of the goods. Okay, before you invest in R&D, sales, and sales promotion and advertising, before you pay your admin people, before you pay your sales people, the units, in other words, the units you are going to sell to the wholesaler, they will not incur the selling expenses. Okay, in business you distinguish your expenses. You say those two cost centers, which means the first cost center is the production and the other cost center is the selling unit of the business, which means the production costs will just include buying raw materials, paying your overheads, water and electricity, and obviously paying sometimes paying your production guys. Okay, but production costs don't include things like marketing or R&D or paying salespeople or paying people that work in administration. So that's why the wholesaler is offering you only 380. But I will explain on the planning tool how to decide whether to sell to the wholesaler or not. Okay, and obviously because of that, you must not be worried to sell to the wholesaler. Wholesaler is like a tender. No, it's a good opportunity. Usually your profit margin when you sell to the wholesaler is a lot compared to when you sell in the shop. And an engineering firm near you has free capacity at the moment and offers you R&D services at marginal costs for this season only. Okay. Therefore, you can count on much better R&D results at comparable budgets of previous periods. Okay, so that means there's an engineering firm in your as your neighbor there next to your business, and these guys usually they do consultation on R&D services, and usually they charge more. But this time, because they don't have a lot of clients, they just want to help you and just pay them less, but still get some additional value in terms of quality, in terms of R&D. So which means this is just a warning to say you don't really have to invest a lot in R&D this time. It's time to save for rainy days. No need to invest a lot in R&D. No need to invest a lot in marketing expenses or in awareness expenses. So this is the opportunity you have to save for rainy days. Okay? But I'm not saying don't spend anything. Spend, but not a lot. And I will not give limits. It's up to you. That's the nature of competition. Okay, so I think I have explained the news enough. I'll leave you guys. I just want to show you when to sell to the wholesaler or not. Okay, this is when you decide to sell to the wholesaler or not. Okay, even though I think it's always an ideal decision to sell to the wholesaler, this is how you confirm your decision whether it's a good thing to sell to the wholesaler or not. Okay, so this section number 8 is called prime costs, which means it breaks down cost per unit, or how much does it cost to produce and sell a surfboard. Because the business cost is not just about producing the goods, you incur also costs for selling that good. So this section now break down how much does it cost you to produce and sell each of the surfboards that you have been selling. So I used an example of one of the teams that made a big loss. Okay, so when do you sell to the wholesaler? Okay, from the start, right? The wholesaler channel is on the sales section, the first section. Just already assume you are going to sell to the wholesaler and complete that part of the wholesaler. Okay, which part am I referring to now? I'm referring to this part. Just already assume you are selling. If you see it's not worth it, you can come and remove the figures later. But just try to, when you decide on your price, indicate you are selling to the wholesaler, so that the system can already factor in the costs of producing and selling those extra 20 units. You don't want to plan and then you decide I'm going to sell to the wholesaler. Then you decide to put there only after. Then you have to go through again to adjust all the expenses and other costs. Okay, so when you do that, you must finish planning everything, finish planning until you come to balance sheet, until you come to liquidity. Okay, before you transfer, you come to this section. Okay, first assume you are selling, sell 20 there, and just go with your normal planning until you are done. When you finish planning, I want you now to come to this prime cost section. Okay, so this prime cost section break down the costs of your surfboard, selling and production costs. So when do you sell to the wholesaler? When do you keep the decision to sell to the wholesaler? You must check at this figure here. Somebody said the letters cannot see, huh? Let me just try to zoom it. Okay, you must look at these figures here that says cost of goods manufactured. So this is the cost of manufacturing one surfboard, excluding selling costs. Okay, excluding selling costs. Okay, actually, you must only sell to the wholesaler if this cost is less than 380. Like in this case, I could sell to the wholesaler because I will make some profit. Because if it's only costing me 323.75 to produce one unit, and the wholesaler is offering me 380, it means I have a positive profit margin on that item. So if this figure here is less than 380, which is the price the wholesaler is offering to buy at, then you can sell to the wholesaler. But the moment this figure is above 380, don't sell. Okay? Don't sell, because you will be making a loss. It's like going to ShopRite, buy some ice cream there, and go sell at the location. Maybe you buy it for 10 bucks, you go sell for 8 bucks, so that people can like you. But you will sell hundreds and millions of ice cream, but you will never profit because you are selling at a loss price. Okay? And then you have these other costs. these are what we call now selling expenses. So you can see how your costs are divided into two cost centers: production costs and selling costs. Okay, so this production cost plus this selling cost gives you the total costs of producing and selling a surfboard. And when you sell in your shop, in your retail shop, that price that you make decision on the first page, always make sure your price is more than this prime cost. Okay, otherwise you will be selling at a loss price in your shop. Okay, make sure the price you are charging is more than the prime cost. Like for example, these guys made a huge loss in the first period because they were only charging 530 for a surfboard, but it was costing them 732. So every time they sold, they made a loss of over 100 euros per surfboard. Okay, so you see now. So, but only come and check these figures after you have done with all the other decisions in other sections. Because otherwise, if you just enter the information under sales here, then you come check here, you will not get accurate information because you still have to work on other expenses under other sections. Okay, make sure you only come here after you are done with everything. This is the last section you visit. If you see then maybe the prime cost here is much higher than your selling price, like in this case, you can now go and start chopping down on the costs, the investments. Maybe you go to R&D there and you say, let's just make 10, for example. Né? So you see if I change there and I go back, you see now the prime cost is gone down. But the manufacturing cost will remain the same because R&D doesn't add to the manufacturing expenses, only to the selling. Then maybe you can say, hey, look, we must go there, we must cut here. Maybe we must only invest 4,000 there and maybe 2,000 here. You try to cut expenses where you can. Otherwise, if you go back there, you can see it's also gone down. Okay, but if your prime cost is you cut your expenses, but it's not going up, maybe the other option you have is to make your machines and your workers work more. Like in this case, they were just making 130. They could maybe say, okay, let's make 160 so that we can make our machines work. You know, if you now come here, you can see it's gone down because your machines are working more, your workers are working more. You know, that's what I have been preaching about. If your machines and your workers are not working, costs will go up. Okay, so in short, only sell to the wholesaler if this figure here is, you know, after, you see now when I produced a little bit more, costs have gone down because the machines and the workers are now more efficient. Okay, and because this goes down, this also goes down because this is it's a total sum of this one plus all these other expenses. Okay, in short, don't sell to the wholesaler when this price is more than the wholesaler's price, or when these costs are more than a wholesaler's price. And make sure all the time before you transfer, the prime cost is less than your selling price. At least in this case now, I could go and say, hey, look here, my costs are a little bit up there, so I will have also to maybe increase my price so that I can at least make a small profit margin. Okay, that was the decision how to sell to the wholesaler and obviously discussion of the news. Thank you very much.